All right, everybody, welcome back to the next edition of the Three Guys, One Mic podcast. More like Two Guys, One Mic this week because, unfortunately, our guy Chris has to be somewhere else right now. But he's definitely a huge part of this podcast. We're going to keep him with us, obviously, moving forward. So don't worry, we'll get him in here. But anyways, I'm Mark.
I'm Kody.
And Kody, what do we have for the listeners today? There's some kind of little special, little three-part special.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a little controversial concept and idea here that, like Mark said, is going to take 3 different podcasts. That's right, you heard it, 3 different episodes to talk about actually 3 probably not really beloved but really well-hated movies that we like to call the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah, so kind of like Kody is discussing, we're going to be talking about the sequel trilogy for Star Wars. And, you know, just to give a little background, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I was born and raised on Star Wars. When I was a kid, I was watching the original trilogy on VHS every day. I was hitting that rewind button just to, you know, watch it every day. And I was actually probably 4 or 5 years old when The Phantom Menace came out in theaters, and I remember seeing that, a bunch of times. And also Attack of the Clones, same thing. Revenge of the Sith is just, like, it's just art to me.
Chef kiss.
And I've just been a huge Star Wars fan my entire life. So this is something that's actually, like, really important to me. And Kody kind of has a similar story. If you want to share your Star Wars fandom, just to kind of get people...
Oh, no, yeah, same. I was born and raised on Star Wars. Thanks to my mom. Shout out Casey Markle. But, yeah, she just, indoctrinated me with Star Wars. I remember, like you said, had Star Wars on the VHS as well. Used to watch it all the time. And then I remember I used to have like a Darth Vader backpack and I had like all the lightsabers and everything, all the Legos that came out. Like I loved Star Wars. It was part of my childhood, and like when I think back to when I was a kid, I thought about grabbing sticks and pretending it was a lightsaber. So yeah, Star Wars was my life when I was a kid.
True story. Just before we get into this, you kind of reminded me of an experience when I was a little kid. I had those little plastic lightsabers, and my best friend was over at my place, and I had to have been like 5 or 6 years old. And I remember beating the crap out of my best friend with the plastic lightsaber, and my dad came out and he punished me, and he was like all upset. But yeah, literally, like, Star Wars is my life, man. I've killed people over this, you know what I mean? Not actually, but obviously I'm very passionate about it. So with me to help me get through this episode, I have a can of Coke, classic Coca-Cola. Audience, this is me right now preparing to this.
Ooh, that was beautiful.
So now you kind of know our thoughts and feelings in a general way going into the Force Awakens, which is the one we'll be talking about today. And we're just going to talk about it a little bit. We're going to start off at the beginning and just kind of the issues that we had with the film and kind of why we don't like it as much as the other Star Wars movies. Kody, do you want to start us off with maybe our first point or look at the first few points and like kind of talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, and as I said, like, this is not only talking about like what they did to Star Wars as a whole, but also just as a whole movie in general, like the plot holes and everything. So the first point we have here is, what is up with the map? And so I don't know if you guys know.
Fair spoiler warning. I know it's been a long time.
Right, yeah.
We have to say that.
Yeah, there are going to be spoilers ahead as we continue on through this trashing of these sequels. And so I don't know if you know the story of what the Force Awakens is, but pretty much a droid has something that's really important, a map or schematics to the Death Star, New Hope, that is really important that the First Order or the Empire is trying to get a hold of. And it's the map that leads to Luke Skywalker. Who created the map? We don't know. And that's kind of an issue here. Who created a map to Luke Skywalker? And if they have this map to Luke Skywalker, why do they separate it into 2 different maps? And why didn't they find him before?
Yeah, like the whole premise of the movie is kind of based off of this map. Like a big portion of the movie is them like, hey, we need the map to Luke Skywalker. But hey, if Luke indeed created the map, which is kind of alluded to a lot in the movie, why would he create a map if he didn't want to be found?
Exactly.
They said he disappeared and vanished, and that wasn't an accident. It sounded like in the film, why would he create a map? And then it all kind of spirals out of control.
Honestly, yeah, it's like those girls who post on like Instagram or something like, oh my gosh, I'm going off of social media for like a day, so if you guys want to keep in contact, shoot me a message
on Messenger, not even text.
Not even like they don't even post their number or the to text to. It's just shoot me a message on like whatever social media platform it is. They want to disappear, but they're gonna leave a way for you to find them. I don't know. I think it's just a load of BS, honestly.
Yeah, so, like, we're already off to a terrible start. That's, like, the intro of the movie.
It really is.
Another kind of thing that we were kind of lamenting about in the movie would be our second point is the stormtrooper, the defective stormtrooper. Really cool concept. And, you know, kind of emblematic of this movie we're going to keep bringing up is, like, really cool concepts, but they're half-baked and executed poorly. This defective stormtrooper. So basically, in the opening scenes, the big bad guy Kylo Ren orders the stormtroopers to kill a bunch of these villagers just to prove how bad he is, basically. And one of the stormtroopers, Finn, as everyone knows, doesn't do it. And he just becomes disenfranchised at that moment with the First Order right then and there, which I think is kind of a huge issue. Cody also thought it was a huge issue that he just kind of goes good too early. Like, there was no time for that to bake, marinate, or settle in any way.
Like, just think how satisfying it would be if, like, maybe even in the same movie he could have, like, started turning to the light side, you know, like, near the end or something. Like, he realized, like, holy smokes, these guys are actually in the wrong. And it would have just been so satisfying seeing, like, the things that Finn did that were in favor of the First Order, or just like him struggling with the ideas and concepts that he was taught and like imprinted into his brain since he was a kid to try and like go against them and you know, just like become a different person. That would have been so much more satisfying than him seeing people get killed and he'd be like, oh, I guess I'm good now.
Yeah, I guess it was just like kind of out of nowhere, 180. Yeah. And I think it's a huge issue with the movie. It's just, it could have been executed so much better. It would have been a really cool, different perspective and different, but they failed on that front completely. But moving on to the next point, we meet our main protagonist of the entire... I use the word protagonist lightly.
Oh, yeah.
Of the entire trilogy, and it's Rey. And she's just this junk trader born on but lives on this desert planet with no family, nothing like that. And she's basically like the most perfect individual you've ever met. Like, never had a negative thought in her life, never really had too much trials and hardships. I mean, she doesn't have a family, and that's like kind of her big thing, but like everything else, she's just perfect. And it's just so unlikable. Like, I like watching the beginning of it. There is a scene where basically she finds this resistance droid that has the map to Luke Skywalker, and then basically some dude's like, hey, I'll trade you this for a lot of food, basically, which is obviously like a big part. They made it a big deal to show that that's how she survives, and she's just like perfect. She's like, no way I'm ever going to trade this. It's like, why? Like, there's no internal struggle, there's no like growth, there's no development, there's no like, you know, like, I mean, she's just too perfect. It's unrelatable.
Exactly. Like, again, wanting to give different scenarios and different ways they could have definitely approached this. Like, it's a good idea, yeah. We want to show that she is a compassionate kind of person. But let's be realistic here. If you're pretty much homeless and the only way you can actually survive is not through payment of money, but through food, and someone offers you all this food for you just to, you know, get rid of something you don't even own or even own for a day, you'd probably do it because it's food. And so it would have been great to see her actually take the food and let them have the droid, and then maybe during the night she regrets it and kind of like tries to go back to steal it back or something, you know, like showing something that actually shows some kind of growth, that she's like, wait, this actually isn't wrong. I'm a human being, you know. But throughout, and we're definitely going to talk and bag on her a lot throughout these 3 episodes, is that she's not a human being. She's a Mary Sue. And I don't know if you want to explain what exactly is a Mary Sue to everybody out there who doesn't really know exactly what that is.
Yeah. Mary Sue is basically kind of like the layman's term. It's like someone in literature, film, whatever, who's just, she's a female protagonist who is just perfect. You know, basically, and everything she does perfect, never makes any mistakes, never does anything wrong. And you know what? I hear the naysayers talking like, well, wasn't Luke Skywalker a Mary Sue or Gary Stu?
Whoa.
Is the more common used term for like males, or wasn't Anakin? Yeah. The key difference is that they go through trials, they have to fail, and they learn, which makes them a lot more relatable. You know, in life, you're not perfect at everything. You're going to fail, you're going to grow, you're going to try to, you know, improve. And like there's none of that growth throughout the first movie or, you know, throughout the trilogy, which we'll get into more later. So Rey just doing that, being so perfect at everything, which we will talk about some more examples later on.
Oh, yeah.
Even in this episode, makes her really unrelatable, very unlikable.
Well, I just want to show like the difference. Like when we meet Anakin, he's a slave, and he's happy. You know, he's still a happy kid. He still finds like the positive things in life, and he still wants to help all these people, even being as a slave as a kid. Luke, honestly, I'll be honest, he was annoying when we first meet him. He was a whiny kid who just wanted to go out and fight in the rebellion. Like he didn't actually grow until the end of the movie. And so like there's a stark difference between these two characters and Rey. Mm-hmm. And we can go on later, but let's go on to the next point.
I'm gonna kind of skip around a little bit because like some of these are a little bit out of order in the way that I took points. But
yeah,
there was a scene after. There, like, basically Finn escapes with the help of a Resistance pilot, Poe, and they get into the desert, and he thinks Poe's dead, and then he, like, finds, like, remember this big thing of water, and he's drinking next to this alien thing. I think that was probably foreshadowing about Finn throughout this whole movie. Finn needs some water. My dude is so thirsty for Rey.
He really is,
the first moment that he meets her, he's literally drinking water, sees her, and he just starts, like, following her like a little puppy dog. And, like... that is like I think that's a huge problem. Like it's just annoying, you know, more than anything. Like it's almost like the character, like he's done something super hard. And he has no self-respect.
Honestly, though, like, and it's not even in this movie. As we progress throughout these episodes, I'm probably going to talk about this point a lot because you see it a lot in all of the other films too. The other two, he shows so much love and like he cares so much about her in an annoying way too. And what pisses me off even more, or gets me upset, is the fact that Rey, she just brushes him off the majority of the time. Because she's pretty much doing her own Mary Sue thing.
Well, like, wouldn't you think, like, a character like Rey who's longing for family and belonging, the first time someone, like is actually, like, shows a little bit of, like, care for her, she would be, like, not, like, super, like, infatuated in love, but, like, not, you know, brush him off and be like, right. I don't need a man. I don't need you to hold my hand. You know, like, it's like, it doesn't make sense. And I get what they were going for. They want Rey to be strong and independent, but you don't have to, you know, crap on one character to make another character look cooler.
No. There are plenty of examples in the Star Wars universe of what a strong, independent female character looks like, and it's not Rey. Mm-hmm. She is the concoction of someone who wants to force an idea down somebody's throat in the wrong way, in my opinion.
I think so as well. But anyways, that's my gripe with that. I could go into more detail about that, but that's just an example. Next point I want to get into is, how does everybody know who Luke Skywalker is? Like, you know, when you think about, like, how big this galaxy is and, like, everything, and just, like, how small the Jedi were and how, like, the Jedi history was, like, erased, essentially, or perverted through the Empire, how does everyone know who Luke is? Like, not only Finn, you know, the stormtrooper guy who defected, Poe knows who he is. I mean, maybe a little bit more sense, but, like, how do you know? Because, like, in the scale of, like, the entire war of everything that's going on, there's probably a really small chance you know that Luke Skywalker is a war hero.
Yeah, and I guess a more spoiler for, I guess, the future movies or future episodes, like, all of these characters, minus Poe, if they had heard of Luke Skywalker, they wouldn't see him as a good guy. He would be like a tyrant that took over and destroyed something that was good. If, like, for Rey, for example, if she had heard Luke in passing from her parents, knowing where those roots come from, she would hear him as an evil person, not a good guy.
Right.
Same with Finn. That would have been such a cool concept. Him thinking Luke Skywalker is this bad guy, and Poe telling him, "Wait, no, this is everything that Luke did." And it would just be interesting to see how much the Empire perverted the view of everybody about what Luke did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been an interesting concept. Again, that kind of goes hand in hand with the like half-baked idea thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like, hand in glove. It's another half-baked idea. Another thing that I had an issue with in the movie was Rey is suddenly a magical pilot.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is the equivalent. Like, the only thing we ever saw her drive before the Millennium Falcon was a little dirt bike, essentially, the equivalent. And then you're asking her to fly like an old fighter jet. You know what I mean? And then she's doing all these crazy maneuvers in the desert, losing TIE fighters, doing these weird flips in air.
Exactly.
It's just annoying. Like, how would she know how to do that?
And I know what you guys are going to say. Well, what about Anakin Skywalker with the pod races? And what about Luke Skywalker with flying is an X-Wing?
X-Wing, yeah.
Yeah, after, only driving around on a speeder. Okay, guys, listen here. Luke Skywalker, before he actually flew an X-Wing, he also flew along Han Solo. And he has a lot of experience flying around in different vehicles. He actually worked on different things instead of taking them apart and scavenging them. Anakin, I guess you can kind of use the whole Jesus concept with him being born of the Force and the chosen one as a way, but he also again grew up flying these different vehicles and actually created them, and he made his own pod racer. Like, obviously these guys are going to be better pilots. These guys were trained. Rey, she got in there, pressed a couple buttons, and all of a sudden it worked magically. It doesn't sit well with me.
And it was like advanced maneuvers. Like, even when you watch like the Phantom Menace, Anakin's like flying the little Naboo thing, but it was an autopilot.
And he also had help from R2-D2 as well.
He had help from R2, and there were some times when he was flying where he was like, let's try spinning, that's a good trick. Yeah, and he's like going all crazy, and a lot of it was like a happy accident in a way.
Exactly.
He was also talented, but like Rey is just like master, better than Han Solo flying around. We'll get to that later. Do you want to take maybe a next point? I know I've taken a few, just like look at something that maybe sticks out to you from the film.
Honestly, actually, we'll say that for last. I think something really interesting as a lightsaber calls to her. That scene really... Little thing about Mark. He doesn't drink a lot of soda. He doesn't like to have a lot of soda in his house. So this stressed him out so much that he had to actually have soda in his house to even talk about this now. Thank you so much, Coca-Cola.
We'll take the sponsorship, by the way.
Yeah, we will. Did you hear that nice crisp... I don't know, opening?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been done better than that.
No, that was really good. That was pretty solid.
Yeah.
But returning back, like, I didn't realize we were watching Harry Potter. Like, the whole scene in the Sorcerer's Stone where he hands him the wand, and like the music and the lights, and it's like, oh my gosh, interesting. Voldemort has the same wand, blah, blah, blah. When did lightsabers call to people? I don't remember that being any mythos in the comics, books, or the prequels, the original trilogy, or even the cartoon shows and spinoffs that they did. None of that ever mentioned lightsabers calling to people, and that really bothered me.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just like, I know what the defense is gonna be for someone who actually knows Star Wars. They're gonna say, well, the Kyber crystals can call to people. Okay, the Kyber crystal called to who? Anakin Skywalker building that lightsaber.
Exactly.
Not Rey.
Exactly.
And I know you're going to say, if you've seen the movies, Rey's a Skywalker, blah, blah, blah. Dude, she was not a Skywalker, first of all. She's definitely not of that bloodline. So, like, none of it in any vein makes any sense. It's just like, and then she has this weird vision.
Yeah,
that doesn't relate to like anything.
No, it was all random.
Yeah,
it was all kind of a way to foreshadow the rest of the movie in a cinematically interesting way, I guess.
It was like a lot of fan service too, because you hear like Darth Vader and like some. I think you hear Obi-Wan's voice in there
probably
at one point, and it's just like this. None of this makes any sense.
No, like if it were the Kyber crystal too, wouldn't have called to Luke Skywalker before he even walked into Ben Kenobi's hut. Because that was Anakin. That was his father's lightsaber.
Right.
He actually is a Skywalker.
It would have called to him, but
exactly.
like it wasn't even like Luke's per se. It wasn't Anakin's. Exactly. You know what I mean? So like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Han Solo on the Millennium Falcon with Rey was also another one.
Oh my gosh.
That was egregious. It was like basically a point in the movie. Yeah, this is all just kind of examples of Rey being a walking Google or a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
She basically, Han's trying to take off in the Millennium Falcon, get away from like bad guys or whatever, and Rey's just kind of sitting there looking like a little like, hey, I know what's going on, but I don't want to say anything. And then Han's trying to figure it out, and she goes, hit that switch.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, like, how are you gonna like sit here and like tell Han Solo how to fly his ship?
His own ship.
Like, and he doesn't know. Like, it's not like he went like, she went, do this, and he's like, are you kidding me? I'm Han freaking Solo. I know how to do this.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That would have been kind of a cool little moment. Like, if you gave her a weird look, it's like he was legitimately like the guy with Alzheimer's.
Yeah, they made him look stupid. It was at this point of the movie. Before I was kind of like, but at this point of the movie, I was officially done with The Force Awakens. I obviously continued to watch the movie afterwards, but this point just turned me off completely to Star Wars.
Well, like, think about it. Like, this goes into my point. You don't have to crap on one character to make another one look cool, or at least not a major character that you plan on, like,
beloved
major. Like, you can... This was also my other issue. We're going to rewind a little bit. But, like, you can, like, have a major character crap on some side character. No problem.
Yeah.
To make themselves look cool because no one cares. But, like, it's Han freaking Solo.
Yeah.
Like, the original fly guy,
yeah.
dude. Like...
The original, like, he inspired girls to wear leggings, boots, and, like, those vests in the fall.
He is... not only the galaxy's best smuggler, but he's also the best fashion designer for women everywhere. And Rey's gonna tell him how to fly his Falcon. This is stupid. I hope you understand why. Like, it was just basically, I'm pretty sure it was just done to get a cheap laugh, but like just the kind of the implications and the way it emasculated the character really did upset me, and also Kody. Another one. That I kind of had an issue with is the way they handled Kylo. Like, kind of the intro with Kylo is he comes in and he's super cool. He's, doing all the stuff. He's raiding a village. At one point, like, Poe shoots a blaster at him.
Exactly.
And he freezes the bolt in midair. It's like, yeah, I'm that strong.
Golly.
And then what do they do to show him to be, like, this ruthless guy? He destroys some stuff on a ship when... things don't go right. Instead of, like, hurting the guy, like, and I know the whole, like, the concept is for him to be like Darth Vader. That's why they designed him the way he did.
Yeah.
His whole character revolves around that. But, like, when it comes down to it, he's just a poor man's Darth Vader. He's not, like, very intimidating.
The Walmart Darth Vader.
The Kmart Darth Vader. The dude, instead of, like, hurting an officer that failed him, which Darth Vader had been known to do, strangling dudes... killing him. I think it was in, like, either A New Hope or The Empire Strikes Back. There's a guy who fails Darth Vader, and he just force chokes him across the galaxy, kills him, and he says, "You're in command now. Don't fail me." What does Kylo do when someone fails him? He just breaks, like, a little computer thing instead of, like, hurting the guy, which, like... might not seem like a big deal, but it's just like the intimidation factor. He just seems like he's throwing a tantrum as opposed to someone who's not to be messed with.
Exactly. If you wanted to go with the standpoint, like, kind of comparing the two with Darth Vader and Kylo, without even knowing anything about the prequels, what Anakin went through, you just see Darth Vader as this bad A guy dressed in all black and just destroying people left and right. In New Hope, he started to choke somebody because they questioned his methods. In New Hope.
When he loses his cool and chokes someone during a staff meeting.
Exactly. And Kylo, he's a baby. He threw a tantrum. He turned on his lightsaber and started cutting up things, and that was it. And that was when I realized this is a joke. But obviously when the whole thing with Rey and Han Solo, but like the villain part, I realized it was a joke. This guy is just throwing a tantrum. He's not a Sith. He's, like you said, the Kmart version of a Sith.
Yep. And there's a lot of issues with this character. We'll get more into it.
So much.
Rey, just a few more Rey points. I know these are going to keep popping up. Rey is a master carpenter / mechanic working on the Falcon. Like, she owns the joint. Rey speaks Wookiee.
That bothered me so much.
Because it wasn't like... Chewbacca said something and Rey, like, responded to him, but then Finn didn't understand. It's not like everyone in the room understood it. Like, it was, like, a common thing. Like, I don't know what kind of schools they had on Jakku, like, free education, but, like, I don't know.
They had schools on Jakku.
Man, she was taught everything. How to, like, fight, how to be, like, a mechanic, how to speak Wookiee. Like, holy crap, why would she ever want to leave? That seems like a pretty good place to raise yourself, you know what I'm saying, if that was the case. But obviously that's not. You know, it's just, it doesn't make sense.
Like, when did she even come in contact with Wookiees on Jakku?
Never.
It doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense.
She can speak droid, she speaks Wookiee, and I don't know, it really bothered me because Han Solo was also known as the Wookiee guy because Han Solo and Chewie were known just to be together. You know, they're best friends, they grew up together, and just that's how he knows Wookiee, because of Chewbacca. And so, if I'm not wrong, honestly, I've never seen Solo, so maybe they changed whatever my concept was of Han Solo and Chewie's relationship. But just her understanding everything and knowing everything and being able to do everything because of the Force, or maybe a next point that we can talk about is, where is it? That's a good question, but for another time.
Yeah. You know, I kind of pointed this out to Kody, and he agreed with it. And this is something that I've believed for quite a long time. Going back to where when the lightsaber calls out to Rey, basically Rey asks like another character, Maz, I don't really care about her, she's a minor character, why this is happening. And then Maz's response, literally to a T, let me find it.
I think it's number
25 right here.
Yeah.
A quote, "A good question for another time." Like, literally, that's the response. And you know what? You could take that and apply it to basically every question you have about the sequel trilogy, not just this movie, but expanding forward, and that applies. And they never answer anything, and everything they do answer makes zero sense. And so, like, you know, all this stuff. How does Rey know how to fly? Oh, good question for another time. How does she speak Wookiee? Good question for another time. How does she pull a Uno reverse card on Kylo doing his mind control? Well, that's a good question for another time. It's like, dude, it's like every answer is unsatisfactory. The story makes no sense. It's just nothing, no cohesion, nothing like, it doesn't make sense. It's just, there's just a lot of, also another thing I've noticed with the movie, a lot of blatant fan service with no payoff. It's just things just thrown in there randomly. And just like, I don't know if you saw that South Park episode about, you know, The Force Awakens, you know, the reboot of Star Wars, but there's these things called remember berries or member berries. And basically they're little grapes, basically, and all they would say, remember the Millennium Falcon, remember Han Solo, just evoking these memories, but like doing nothing with them. And that was what this movie was. South Park really did encapsulate that. So, you can take the next point. Actually, no. This is a really important one that I want to bring up. The whole premise of the movie is that there's a resistance and a first order, right? Yeah. Good, bad. But the first time we see the Republic,
they die.
They get blown up. And so it doesn't make sense. There's no world building to it at all. So when you think about it, they blow up the 5 planets. Is that the entire Republic?
Apparently.
Okay, but if that's the case, wouldn't the First Order be the dominant force in the universe anyways?
Exactly.
So why are we pretending like it's flip-flopped here?
I don't understand.
Like, it doesn't make sense. The way they make the First Order is it's like this little, not little, but it's this like its own little organization that, you know, is trying to overthrow something. But like, if they could just sit there, press a button, blow up 5 planets, aren't they the dominant force in the universe? So like, the whole premise of the movie makes zero sense, Kody.
There was no, I don't know, they tried to make the scene so emotional too, like all these people are dying, but we didn't have any ties to these people at all. They just threw them in there to try and show the power of the First Order. And I'm going to compare it to A New Hope, because like I've been doing before, because if you notice, the Force Awakens is the plot of A New Hope. There's a droid, has schematics or a map, and
a message, whatever.
Yeah, the bad are looking for it, and the good are also trying to get it as well. And the movie ends with this big fight, kind of like through the trenches of, I don't know, the Death Star or whatever the new moon is, whatever they're on, and just
it's actually Ilum for all you hardcore Star Wars
fans. Yeah, that also. Oh my gosh, that really irks me that they didn't even include that in the movie. Something that's so essential and important to the Star Wars universe, they just don't even like have the nerve to tell what it is, and that just.
And for all of you who don't know what Ilum is. Ilum's like the planet that like the Jedi would go to get their lightsaber crystals when they were like Padawans, and you know they had to find their crystal. The thing with it in this movie, I guess from what I heard, I haven't done a ton of research, but like basically the big Death Star thing built in the planet is powered by these crystals. But none of this is explained. It's just there.
Totally wasted. They
just
could have
exists.
had something with the Force, too, with like something, maybe even a crystal calling out to Rey, and she picks it up, keeps it for some reason, doesn't even know why. Next movie, we can have her actually making a lightsaber.
Right, something cool.
Yeah, that would have been something that they could have really, again,
but Kody,
potential.
A good question for another time.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I should shut up and just stop talking about it. Who am I?
Consume product and shut up. That's what they want you to do with this movie. Anyways, Kody, I've been talking for a little bit. I've been bringing up points. You just take a next. We'll do a few more points here that we think are particularly egregious. We have literally a list of 48 points, so we can't get through all of them.
So, how much time are we actually on right now?
You got about 30 minutes in, so, we can do another 15 minutes, 20 minutes probably.
I don't want to get us too long, because honestly, I can go on for hours about how just this first movie, and this is the better movies of the three, is terrible.
That's saying a lot.
Honestly, it is. Let's talk about something that they of this fan service that has that didn't even lead anywhere. Let's talk about Han Solo. Again, the amazing character, and they destroyed him. They killed him off. And I understand. I'm pretty sure Harrison Ford would have said, I'll do a movie, but just one movie, and that's it. And so they killed him off. Understandable. Good for you, Harrison Ford, because probably you saved yourself. But
you didn't have to be in that crap show of a trilogy. I mean, I guess he was in the Rise for a little bit.
Yeah, he was.
But as a memory or something, whatever.
He doesn't even know what he was, honestly.
Nobody knows what he was. It's an enigma,
honestly.
And I'll get to that point after this point.
But the way they killed him off was just terrible. They try to do it as a New Hope, an old man who kind of as a mentor or father figure fights the villain.
The quote-unquote Vader?
Yeah, quote-unquote Vader, and over something that's... Well, actually it wasn't suspended, but pretty much in the Death Star, and they pretty much duke it out, the old man dies. Obi-Wan against Vader, Han Solo, not even against Kylo Ren. And you brought it up, honestly, what would have been the better situation with Han Solo's death? You want to go into that?
Yeah, so basically the way they did it is, just for context, is basically Kylo takes off his mask the second time he takes it off in the movie, which should have been the first time in the movie. He revealed it to Rey for some reason, but it would have been more emotional, would have captured more if he took it off in front of his own father before Rey, Mary Sue. Anyways, the way that it should have gone is, Han should have tried to, bring his son back, obviously, like he did, but it should have been some situation where, the good guys were trying to escape, and Kylo was after them because, crap was hitting the fan at Starkiller Base, and basically, Han goes... Han's like, hey, come on, son, you can turn away from this. And he's like, no, I can't. I know what I need to do. And basically, Han goes, well, if you want them, you're going to have to get through me. Basically making Kylo make, a really tough decision.
Exactly.
And then you have Harrison Ford just going, poof, shooting at Kylo, but, to no avail. Maybe gets a couple shots in on him, and then Kylo just kind of closes the gap and then just ends Han. And that would have been, a really cool, heroic sacrifice. It would have been super emotional. It would have been more the characters making decisions.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. As opposed to just something kind of happening. It would have been such a cool ending, a heroic ending. And, honestly, I wouldn't have been upset with that. It would have been satisfying. It would have showed lack of character growth is huge in these films. That would have been a moment of character growth for Kylo. In, obviously a negative way, but, still character growth and development. So they could have done something really cool.
It's amazing. He needed a death that would have been right for his character. This man... Again, his movies came out in the late 70s, and he's been an icon since then. And they just killed him off. And I get they were trying to be emotional and trying to make it seem like, okay, this guy, he was trying to be a good father in the end, but he died anyways. That it's okay, but I mean that's not Han Solo.
No. The thing that comes to mind with that scene, that famous Han Solo line is "Never tell me the odds." That would have been a awesome situation of him to
great.
He's been so right so many times in the past about never tell me the odds, but at this time the odds got him, man. Kylo,
even as Kylo stabs his father, he even in this probably would have pissed people off. He would have the nerve to say I love you, and then Han would say I know. That would have been great. That would have been really great.
But, that would have been weird a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, but I mean I don't know. father-son kind of thing.
Right.
Which has honestly been...
Or you could say, I hate you, and he said, I know.
Oh, that would have been
really good. That would have pissed him off, and, it would have been, obviously Kylo's character, it would have been true to him. And,
that would have been really good.
You know what I mean? And that's an Anakin line, too.
I hate you!
But instead, it's like...
That would have been really good.
I'm getting chills. That's
same. That would have been really good.
But I know. And then he just dies, and then pisses him off, and obviously the character does what it's going to do. But
yeah, that would have been great. Him saying "I know" would have driven him even more angry, which would have made a better payoff for the fight, quote unquote, between Finn and Kylo, and also Rey and Kylo. And if you want to go to that as the next point, if you even want to go to a different point.
Let's say that for the last, one of the last ones. Okay, here's a few that I'm going to run through real quick, just a little bit more breakneck speed. We don't have to get into too much analysis because, it is what it is. Where's Phasma? She's in this movie, but not really. And she doesn't do anything cool. She's so fast to sell at the First Order. That's literally all she does. And she wears cool armor. That's it. And they hyped her up to be something really big. How does Finn know how to use a lightsaber without hurting himself on multiple occasions in this film? How did Poe survive the crash after he was not pronounced dead, but, Finn thought he was dead? Okay, this one really did bother me a lot. Kind of when they're on in Maz's planet, I forget the name of the planet, wherever the castle is. The Resistance comes, the First Order comes, and Han and Rey and Chewie are held prisoner by a couple stormtroopers, and these Resistance pilots are snipers while they're moving this fast. They hit the pilot or hit the guy, the stormtroopers holding them while they're moving super fast towards them, just shoot them off with the X-wings without missing at all, just pinpoint precision accuracy. When a huge plot point in A New Hope was 2 meters wide, was a really small hole to hit to blow up the Death Star. But no, these guys are ace pilots, man. They don't care, man. They're just they're doing little barrel rolls and stuff, shooting stormtroopers and not hitting their own. How can you even see that? Exactly. It's just stupid. That. It's just a dumb moment.
It's not like you have a windshield that kind of goes all around your whole ship, kind of like the TIE fighters do. It's a narrow window that you can see through.
It's 2 meters wide. All the real Star Wars fans will love that one. But it's just stupid. Again, I'm going back to another point. Kylo took off his mask to I don't know, for sexual tension with Rey or something.
Yeah, the whole scene was really weird.
How does Rey know how to Jedi mind trick? How does she know it's a thing? I don't know. She tricks a stormtrooper to letting her go and dropping
Daniel Craig, by the way.
Daniel Craig, love you, but, they did you dirty.
Oh, they did you so dirty.
Them getting to Ilum, they literally hyperspace into the planet. That's not how hyperspace works. For all you don't know, it's wormholes. They're, literally pathways to do it. And there's no pathway that leads from space into a planet. That didn't make sense.
Oh, my gosh. Didn't they also hyperspace out of that ship that they were in, too?
Yeah, they hyperspace out of the Falcon. So they were hyperspace into the planet and then out.
No, but when they're on that ship that had all those crazy things, did they hyperspace out of that as well?
Yes, they did. That makes absolutely no sense now.
I don't understand.
Stupid. Inappropriate hyperspace. Foul on the play. 15-yard penalty. Personal foul. Stupid. This was another one that you brought up that was actually really funny. Finn said after his first battle, after the murdering of people, he was done with the First Order. We learned later that he was in sanitation. So when do you take your janitor and throw him on the battlefield?
And make him your sharpshooter too. You're gonna trust the man who's been cleaning toilets to protect your left or your flank, whatever. No.
Hey man, I guess if you're spraying the little cleaner in the toilet, the hole isn't 2 meters wide; it's smaller.
Yeah, I guess so.
So I guess he's pinpoint accurate hitting it. It's just stupid. When would you ever pull a janitor out to go fight or slaughter civilians? That made zero sense to me.
You have to be really desperate, and you can tell that they're not desperate because they have a lot of people. And even Vincent himself, they took him from when he was a child. So they had the resources. They just don't know how to stay on the same page throughout the movie.
You know what's messed up now that I think about it is they literally took Finn to be a janitor from a child.
They really did. How would you feel to be brought into this crazy, super powerful order from a child and realize that your whole like existence now is to clean up crap.
Like literally, were they training him how to use OxyClean, like mop properly, like with proper technique? It's just a whole stupid plot point like that. It's a throwaway line, but like the implications are stupid.
Yeah, they wasted so much potential with this character.
Going into the little bit more serious ones before we get into the really egregious ones, this is kind of like a build up to it. So after Kylo kills Han, Chewie shoots him with a bowcaster. You know, his like thing, which has been shown to be very powerful throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But here's my question. I don't even think I brought this up with you. Shouldn't that make Kylo stronger because the dark side feeds off of like pain, hate, anger, stuff like that? Yep. So like they use it as like a crippling thing, which obviously will be in some ways, but in a lot of ways, like that would have amplified him so much more.
Exactly.
In that subsequent fight, which didn't make any sense. But okay, those are like some of the more minor complaints. Go into the major ones, like the climax of the movie kind of complaints that we had.
Yeah, so kind of feeding off of that, we see Kylo getting shot. Rey, Finn are trying to escape and get off the planet. But for some reason, I guess Kylo teleports and kind of appears in front of them. Or I guess behind them. And so they have to fight him. I don't know exactly. Did he like throw Rey with the Force or something like that, knocks her out, and then
he did something.
Yeah. So Finn, you know, it feels like it's going to be this kind of dramatic scene where we're going to see our heroes lose because that's what's supposed to happen. Because these guys are inexperienced. He's a sanitation trooper with the lightsaber, and he's going to be fighting this guy who was trained by Luke Skywalker, as we know in the later movies, and also by Snoke, who's a Sith.
We don't even know. That's. I'll get to that point after these ones.
Yeah. So anyway, so they fight. Finn does lose, but he somehow gets in a hit on Kylo's. I think it's his right shoulder. He's wielding shoulder.
The mop is strong with this one.
Apparently, yeah. Like this guy must have been practicing with his mop, like behind the scenes or something, because he was wielding it pretty. He held his own, which I guess is okay to see, but he really should have been taken out earlier.
Way quick.
Yeah, instead of which I think also is how Rey should have been taken out as well.
Yes.
But I'll let you.
So yeah, Finn shouldn't have been able to hold a candle to. Like, I would have been cool if Kylo just was like toying with them, not even killing them.
That would be okay, yeah.
Right, but like it was actually like a back and forth at that point. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense. Like you said, Luke, Snoke, apparently really powerful Force users are training this guy. Why can't he beat the sanitation guy? And then the next point, Rey beating Kylo is like the stupidest creative decision they made for these new characters. Yeah. I mean, like, okay, so you're going to tell me some scavenger girl whose fighting form is swinging wildly is going to beat Kylo, leader of the Knights of Ren, grandson to Darth Vader.
Also something that they really should have gone into is the Knights of Ren. That would have been really cool to see too. Right. But anyways.
But yeah, so like Rey basically is getting whooped, which should happen, and then Kylo says something about the Force, and then she stands there, closes her eyes for like 30 seconds. And they're just like locked with lightsabers, and like Kylo's just like sitting here, like he's checking his watch, like, can I clock out yet? And then she comes back, and then she starts whooping Kylo, and like the stupidest part, she beats the crap out of Kylo's, toying with him kind of at the end. Mm-hmm. And then the most egregious part of the scene is like, since the planet's blowing up because they're trying to blow up the planet with the Death Star in it or whatever, like, there is like a split in the earth that separates Kylo from Rey, basically sparing Kylo's life, and that like pissed me off because it would have been like one of those situations like, this should be the other way around.
Exactly.
Kylo should have eviscerated Rey and by the grace of God been saved by this little split. Why is this the other way around in the first movie? Like, this is just leaning into the point of Mary Sue.
Yep.
Like, this is just another example, and it's the most egregious one because you've already emasculated your villain. Now you're going to emasculate him some more, so we obviously aren't going to take him as a threat. If Rey, Miss Scavenger can beat him, I bet like the card dealer at the casino could probably throw a card at Kylo and knock him out.
Exactly.
It just like there's no threat there for a character that you obviously wanted to be menacing and cool. JJ, you screwed up.
They really did.
You really did. So that was just egregious. Like, how is this saving Kylo? It just makes no sense. Like, think about context. Like, think about, like, a professional football player going up against, like, I don't know, a kid who picked up a football like 3 months ago, and not even like a week ago.
Didn't even practice throwing the football.
No, he doesn't know what a football is because like Ray didn't know what the Force is. Like and like basically like this kid just like tackles this guy. Yeah. And just like starts teabagging him. Like that's what that was. Like you think about it, this guy's been training his whole life to be, the next Vader,
with
and
the biggest names of Jedis and Sith Lords.
And he just gets pooped on.
Yeah, that goes nothing.
Simple.
That goes nothing.
Because reasons.
Exactly.
Oh,
because of the Force.
A good question for another time. But anyways, Kody. How does Kylo get away from that collapsing planet that, he got saved from by that, thank God for the earthquake, right, for Kylo's sake, right. Because, he got away from it. How does he get away?
A good question for another time.
Oh, perfect. Next point.
I really want to go into that whole fight with Rey and Kylo. Again, lost potential. They could have done it with, again, kind of going back to finding that Kyber crystal. If she had kept that in her pocket, she gets her butt completely whooped. Chewie comes in to save him, and she has this Kyber crystal.
Maybe she gets the lightsaber stolen.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't have a lightsaber, so what does she do? They probably even turn it around and have her magically know how to create a lightsaber, but she has to go find a master to help her learn how to actually be a Jedi, train, and actually create her own lightsaber, so she can become a Jedi Master, like Luke had to do to become a Jedi Master. But unfortunately, no. They just
squander it.
Yep, they made her powerful, and so she had to, because of the Force. The Jedi. The word Jedi is apparently a triggering word for her that makes her go
Super Saiyan.
Yeah,
like my boy Jay Lin. Look up the video if you haven't. But basically, if you think it, you can do anything with your mind.
Apparently, yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you want to fly, you just have to keep jumping off of rooftops, and just keep training. That's all it takes.
No training involved. What are you talking
That's
about?
True. Yeah,
Rey didn't train, and she can whoop the crap out of Kylo. Okay, next point, because we're kind of like beating this dead horse a lot.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Snoke is an enigma. Who is he? Where did he come from? More importantly, how is he allowed to kind of exist during the reign of Palpatine? Because obviously he's old.
Rules of two.
Right? He would have been a rival at that time. He's old, so he would have been around.
I don't understand.
And then how did Luke not know anything about him?
Exactly.
Like, where was he? Like, how did no one know anything about him?
Like, how is this all happening while Luke is kind of just hiding out? Another thing that's going to piss me off, but we're going to talk about the next episode just because it involves more of him in the next episode. But just how all this is happening while Luke is just kind of hiding out. All the suffering and everything is not Luke's character. And that's just another thing that just... It irks me.
Yeah, it irks me as well. Okay, next point. Next couple of points before we wrap this up. Why is Rey the only person to go and see Luke?
Oh, gosh.
After they get the little star map together? You don't think... Yeah, good question for another time. That's got to be a staple of this podcast at this point. You would think that Leia...
Her brother...
twin, no less. The one who shared all that time together, fought against the Empire together.
Exactly.
Had the same father, blah blah blah. Han Solo married her, had a kid with him. You would think that Leia, after all this time, would go to see disappeared Luke, but no, it's just Rey. Rey's more important than Leia.
Apparently,
yeah. She needs that time.
I can get why she would go to him to look for a master,
right?
Even though Leia actually was trained in the Force by Luke, but
not yet.
She wasn't?
Well, no, because they didn't come out with the Rise of Skywalker, so they didn't have any of this planned.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, if I'm not wrong, there actually are books of about, maybe I could be wrong.
Could be decanonized because Disney liked to put the ban hammer on everything before they took over. But
yeah, but it would make sense if she came along,
right? To
kind of meet Luke, but she didn't even go, and that brings us to another point where Leia found out through the Force that that Han died, and when they come back after this giant fight and this giant battle, Leia walks straight past Chewie, the best friend of her husband, her lover. They fought together in the wars. They had a kid together. It's like walking past pretty much your husband's uncle or your wife's brother. Not uncle. I said uncle, didn't I? Yeah, your wife's brother or whoever, sibling, And instead of consoling them if your wife like died or something like that, you go straight to this random person that you met once that knew them. That's it, and you console them instead of your best friend who knew them
the guy, and then they show him super depressed in the next scene alone.
Exactly. I don't understand this. They screwed my man Chewie over because he had to witness this, and like Carrie Fisher, well, not even Carrie Fisher. She is phenomenal. Leia. In this twisted version of Star Wars, just walks straight past him, and goes to console Rey, the Mary Sue.
The guy, the one who knows the Falcon better than Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's irritating to me too. Okay, so we get to the ending part of the movie. Rey goes up to Luke
and
hands a lightsaber to him, tries to at least. And what does Luke say?
He says nothing.
Oh, nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
So we haven't seen him in this movie the whole time.
Yeah.
He's been an enigma like Snoke, more so than Snoke.
At least his intentions are clear.
Hands him the lightsaber. The last time he saw that thing was attached to his hand before Vader chopped it off. And he just says nothing at all. Nothing. He can't even think of words. I remember Mark Hamill after this. I think it was him reacting to the Last Jedi script, which we will get into later. He said something to the effect of, "I haven't been this speechless since The Force Awakens." And that's one of the funniest things, because Luke Skywalker is the hero of all heroes.
Exactly.
The guy. The guy that everyone grew up with, the legend. He couldn't have said one or two things to Rey.
No, it's supposed to be intimate. There's supposed to be just no words, just them staring at each other and crying, even though they'd never met.
Why is she handing him the lightsaber just right off, doesn't say anything, just right off rip, just hands him this lightsaber. And he's just sitting there he's unsure what to do. Because you know what, they didn't give him much to work with. Literally 0 lines, no screen time. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Oh man.
And then kind of our closing thought with it, was that whole scene, was that less for the characters and more of a representation of J.J. Abrams handing the next movie to Rian Johnson? Is that what it was?
Honestly, I feel like it could be, because, in the next movie, I think there's a pretty good representation of what Ryan did to those movies. Yeah, honestly, I feel like we should honestly start our next episode with that representation right there, because, well, it was not good.
Yeah,
to say the least.
It's terrible. But okay, overall, closing thoughts on the whole movie. If you had to sum the movie up in, let's say, a couple sentences, how would you sum it up?
I would never watch it again.
Okay, well, that's one sentence. Okay, here's what I'm going to sum it up. A little bit more, hopefully a little more thought out. It is a movie that takes the magic of Star Wars and then throws it away. Loses its magic. Mm-hmm. It's a movie of half-baked ideas and poor execution.
Oh, totally.
Sloppy is the word that comes to mind.
It's George Lucas's legacy spat on and just thrown to the dirt. And it's terrible because, it's say someone took Mickey Mouse, the face of Disney, Walt Disney, and just, I don't know, just made him a villain or something, just turn him into something.
Had him kill Goofy or something.
Yeah, something crazy like that, or have him cheat on Mickey or something with...
Or Minnie.
yeah, Minnie, yeah. Mickey cheat on
with
Minnie.
Who's Daffy Duck's wife?
I don't know, No. Isn't it Donald Duck? Daffy Duck is
Yeah, who's Donald Duck?
Daisy Duck. Yeah, Daisy Duck, yeah. Something crazy like that, and just, totally, make... Disney Waltz, make him turn his grave. There are people out there doing this all over the place. I guess Queen, there's the new singer, they're trying to keep the legacy alive, Go You. But honestly, if you try to change it up, they haven't done, they kept everything original, then you're just screwing someone's legacy up, and that's not fair to Lucas.
Jorge. Yeah, it's one of those things, I like innovation, I like good ideas, I like it's kind of a weird movie in which that we complain it's so much like A New Hope, but also it's not. Exactly. So it's you could have done something different and respected the legacy of Star Wars and made it be Star Wars, mm-hmm. but you did something the same and didn't respect Star Wars. It's a really weird film in that way.
I would be totally okay with something different. Like The Mandalorian, they did a Star Wars Western show, and that was amazing.
Cool.
They did it really well. But they didn't even try to be different. They just threw a whole bunch of things together to try and get across their ideas and their beliefs and shove it down our throats. And that was just not okay to George.
Yeah, and to all the fans. So all of you who don't like The Force Awakens or the sequel trilogy, this is a home for you in this podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Note.
Don't let anyone tell you that you have to like them or anything like that. Like, you're entitled to your own opinion. And even if you do like them, you can let us know in the comments why you liked it. But obviously, we didn't like it. We didn't enjoy it as much. And you know what? You can enjoy it. Like, you're free to do that. But
I'm not gonna hate you for it or like say you're an idiot for not liking it. I mean, to each their own. But this is just our opinions, opinions you guys didn't ask for.
Yeah, and maybe and maybe you did like it. Maybe you're a newer fan and it got you into Star Wars. Like, I could totally see that because like if they're like everything with context, right? The reason we don't like this film and sequel is because the context behind everything else. Mm-hmm. So. But anyways, we've already hit quite a long time on this podcast, so don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please listen through. There will be more coming on The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Special guest coming up for one of those, we hope. So keep your eyes open for that. But thank you so much for listening. This has been Mark.
This has been Kody.
And you guys have a great evening. Take it easy.